Hey, this is Ramon, Channels Alpha 4, and if you're wondering why the dumb headset thing, my microphone gave out. This is part of my Quran study, hence the Quran's in the background. And let's just get into it. Surah 2, Ara 258. We see another folkloric addition here to the story of Abraham. Maybe it's even a reference to Nimrod. Basically, what this addition means, or what when I say the word folklore, what I mean by that is that it's extra biblical. In other words, it's a non-biblical story. So that doesn't mean that it doesn't maybe show up in other traditions, such as the Talmud or the Hadith, or other things like that. But it's not; these are stories that are not in canon with traditional Christianity, Catholicism, Judaic understandings, traditions. Okay. And this will happen a lot. A lot of these stories, they will have slight bends or slight additions to the stories that we're familiar with here in the West, in Christendom, which is weird to say, and I'm still not comfortable with that word. Are atheists part of Christendom then? I mean, if they're part of the West, then anyway. All right, then we get to Surah 2, Ara 259. And I just say, what? That's honestly my note. More resurrection stories. And here they add again to the Abrahamic story, and they have him request knowledge or understanding or to learn the way of resurrection. He does this by taking 4 birds, placing them on the top of mountains. Some translations say on top of every mountain, and then call them to himself, and they come back to life. I don't know how that answers that question, but there you go. I'm almost thinking that maybe in the translation there's something lost, and what he's asking is for some kind of proof that resurrection works, more than an understanding of resurrection. I'm not really sure, unless there's a metaphor there that I'm missing. Then you get another prescription, and here the prescription is perform righteous deeds, maintain prayer, and give alms. And you're going to hear this repeated a lot. Then we get to Ara 275, which begins a long, I'm going to call it diatribe or tirade against usury, which is actually really cool. It's a good thing to be against. And then we get to Ara 281 all the way to 284, which is on debt. And basically it says that unlike in Judaism and in Christianity, where debt must be forgiven and interest is considered evil, here debt is to be remembered and recorded, and that you're supposed to use a scribe, so you're supposed to actually remember it. And then we get to a kind of a controversial thing, and it's still within the section on value. And it's talking about who you can trust in testimony and who can remember a debt. And basically you get the equation that one man is equal to 2 women, but that 2 men together are better than a group of women. That's a little sexist, I'm going to be honest with you. Then at Ara 285, you get a restatement of the core concepts of this chapter. And in the commentary it says that from here on out, this is actually like almost a prayer that people constantly say to themselves as a kind of reminder and a saying. And kind of like how in Catholicism we have the creed, this would kind of be like their understanding of their faith. Okay, so it's a restatement of their understanding of their piety. And then we also get in this that there is no distinction between the prophets and that they believe in all the true prophets. Here that technically means all the, what we would consider Judaic prophets, all the patriarchs, but they try to make a claim that everyone who's following the true religion is somehow Muslim or Islamic. I'm pretty sure the believers of those other faiths would have an objection to that statement. And then, again, we get the restatement of the core beliefs. So here are the core beliefs. And if you're a believer in any religion, ask yourself if these beliefs contradict your personal belief. I know that's a challenge, and I'm not asking you to question your faith. I'm saying ask yourself if the beliefs that Islam and Muslims teach, claim to follow, disagree with those that you claim to follow. That is, belief in God, belief in angels, belief in the books, Holy Scripture, belief in the messengers, here I think that means the prophets, and they believe in death and resurrection. Now, if you're a believer in a religion, how do those compare to your understanding of your faith? I think that Islam is much more developed as a theology than a lot of the older ancient religions, especially if you go into ancient pagan religions, where the theology is really rudimentary, but the mythology is very strongly defined. Other ancient religions have very strong narratives, which Islam is honestly, at least up until the end of the second surah, is missing. But what they have is a very strong theology and a very strong philosophical thought process that's well thought out. All right, so that is the end of the second surah. I'll see you next time around.